He got the shed in the first game. 40 minutes, Reg, yeah. And the referee for this afternoon's fixture, Tom Gustard, the local referee with the great experience. Newcastle favoured by the breeze, kicks off and comes off the hands immediately of P.Mortimer and has gone dead for Canterbury-Bankstown. Farrar to take the drop out beneath the Canterbury sticks, kicking it into the breeze. As you can see it floating, running up quickly to gather the ball. Centre 3/4 for Newcastle, the number 4 Craig Hubbard from Lakes United. Good hard solid run there by his centre 3/4 partner, is it? Getting to his feet, it is Ricky Stone. Now with the possession, Newcastle boiling towards the Canterbury line. That was Whittaker. This man's Rip Taylor with the experience also of Milton Burrows, the number 11. The Canterbury players swarm all over Burrows. He'll get up to play the ball about 20 metres out. Back to Randall. To the other front row forward, Paul Merlo, back from Sydney experience with Western Suburbs and Cronulla Sutherland. Randall now, given away to Rip Taylor. Hard in there as Randall's in a bit of an altercation there with one of the Canterbury players, Billy Johnstone. You wouldn't want to pick him, he's a fighter. Professional boxer, Billy Johnstone. But Canterbury will come up in possession of the ball as there's still bodies everywhere there. Being sorted out, referee Gussard allows the game to go on. Bang, there's a good big hard tackle there as Newcastle come in trying to keep Canterbury down on the line. Second row forward, Warren Black, the number 10. That's Tunks, the captain for the day, taken down by Rip Taylor. Mortimer's out, of course, and that's been a bit of a disappointment for the crowd, I guess. Could best be described, Johnny Young, as disappointing, I would suggest. A
little bit disappointing, Lee, yes, but, well, it's certainly a good day for football, and with Newcastle have this strong breeze, I think they've got to use the kick and gain territory, played in Canterbury's territory for this first half.
Penalty to Newcastle, Terry Lamb, the man being caught offside. Normally he plays 5'8", very good player Lamb, had leg troubles last year. Could I have more earphone level, please? The truck, I can hardly hear myself. One, two, 1, 2. How are you, mate? Neil, how are you? Lee Moon. Glenn Randall would like to kick this one to put Newcastle away, but stuck it to the left-hand side. He won't get an easier one than that. It was across the breeze, but really should have kicked it. Farrar to restart from the quarterway line. Simply drives it back down into play. Under the ball, Rod White, the fullback. Running strong. Oh, bang! Ran into Lamb, only a little bloke, but very solid as you can see, and was put straight down. This is Milton Burrows, taken down by Peter Tunks. The national player Tunks, the number 9 Black hard onto the ball, but Canterbury come over in numbers and put him on the ground. Farrar strongly in there, the number 3. Higgins, away to Uyghur now. Oh, gee, that was a good hard bump on Matthias, and the ball's gone free. Newcastle must be ready for the big tackles. These fellas hit pretty hard. This is Gillespie. What a success story he was in Sydney football last year. Came from the blue, Gillespie. No one knew much about him. This is Dunn, the front row forward. Purchased from Eastern Suburbs, Paul Dunn. A good ball player. We'll watch for that. As he turns it back to Billy Johnstone. Away to Terry Lamb. Canterbury realising that he was going to kick. As you can see, there was no activity in the back line at all. As it goes back to Rod White as he fails to find touch, but he's taken by the tackle. Of not only the number 2, P.Mortimer, but Farrar in there as well. This is Bates, good player. Tunks, the size of him, comes in and puts Bates straight on his back. This is Randall. Rip Taylor, half-back now, lock forward Taylor. Solid enough to handle the position. Whether he's quite quick enough's another thing. Eager. Long kick down over Mick Potter's head. It'll run away, Stu, but Potter will probably allow it to go dead now. The ball was very quickly making progress. Billy Johnstone with a restart. This is Dunn. Newcastle going in there solidly black, a little vigorous in that tackle as Merlo performed it. Wide it goes, Potter up into the back line, given away to P.Mortimer and then to Matt Callinan. Of course, Callinan was purchased by the Canterbury side, walking off the ground in this fixture last year, as a matter of fact. Was approached before he got in the dressing shed. Friday night's news, I tipped that could well happen to the number 3 Ricky Stone in the Newcastle side. We'll see if I'm right or not. He's a good player. In his first grade game, would you believe, has not played one for the club, out of juniors. Looking for room, Gillespie. Found Mortimer, about 5 metres from the halfway line. The Newcastle defence too solid. And John, they've started well, the local boys.
They certainly have, Lee, and well, I like their tactics. They didn't wait until the 6th tackle before they put the ball well down the field in that long kick, and that's what they have to do. They've got to play it in Canterbury's territory.
Whittaker the winger, Rod Whittaker from Cessnock, good solid winger, made over the quarterway line. Just settling things down with fullback Rod White. Now Randall, what can they do? Backing up through the forwards, Milton Burrows hard to the ball. He'll go all day, Burrows.
This is where they should be using the kick, Lee. They know the defence of Canterbury is rock solid and they won't get through there, so kick it down and play down this end.
And in the straight line, Canterbury, look at them line out on the mark where the referee is, right across the park. They've done that plenty of times. Eager, looking for touch, it'll be too long. Out by about 3 metres, and the game goes back centre field about 30 metres out. Some muscle and sinew in there as Canterbury come up with the ball, and Rip Taylor says, you can come down right here. Was locked forward Langmack, he tackled. Now back to Mick Potter, class player Potter. They won't want to give him any room and don't, and he goes down still about 30 metres out with the big fella Burrows to put him down. This is Gillespie, looks the part, David Gillespie. Was wearing the headgear last year, or the strap around the head, doesn't seem to have that in operation at the moment. As Tunks gets up to play it back to Billy Johnstone. What a shocker. This is Mick Hagan, younger brother of Bobby Hagan of the 60s fame with the Canterbury side. Over the top, Farrar chasing the ball. Whittaker struggled to gather it, but stayed on the path of the ball to gather it well, really. They were in trouble if he hadn't got that ball. 2 metres only out. He'll play it back to Rod White. He'll just settle the game to be taken down by Callinan on the far side. Johnny King, the coach of the Newcastle side, of course, a former international. Total of about 9 or 10 tests, maybe slightly more than that. 9 against the Pommies, I think, one of the St George greats. Would have been in the same club as St George I'm talking about when Warren Ryan, the Canterbury coach, was there. Playing in reserve grade, Ryan, in the halcyon days of St George. Good footballers, both of them. Now top coaches as Egar kicks it out. Straight into the arms, though, of Mick Potter. He's got it, John, try and make him move off the mark at least, surely.
Yes, Lee, he had plenty of room to move. Potter was right in centre field there, so he had the choice of both sides of the field to kick it. But this strong southerly is blowing, and down the far corner would have been the ideal spot.
Maybe a little nervous after putting the earlier one out on the full, decided to keep it straighter as Callinan's in the middle of the park, just about on halfway. Randall took an eternity to get off him and caught him with his boot. Game underway, Johnstone to dummy half, cut out a man, gave it to Langmack, a former Australian schoolboy that's destined for the very top. An excellent player, despite the fact the ball was ripped from his grasp then. As soon as you mention him, John, you put the mocker on him, I think. Eager, Randall, turned it away this time to Ricky Stone, the young boy's in the biggest game he's ever been in today. and they poured onto him. No favours out here in first grade. In fact, that was Matthias, not Stone. So he is an experienced player, about the same height, same coloured hair. We'll catch Stone. He's in number 3 as the game progresses. Randall. This is Milton Burrows, and he'll need to gather the ball, and so will Rip Taylor when he follows through to confirm the knock-on. As Canterbury now have at least 2 or 3 of the Newcastle players behind their attack. But the tackling's good on the far side. But Canterbury maintained possession. Here's Peter Tunks. The ball back was awful. Went into touch on the far side. Higgins made a meal of that and deserved to be claimed right there too. Trying to get the ball away before picking it up. The nerves will settle in a moment. This is Whittaker from the far side. Good, strong, straight, hard runner on the flank. We see him in the daylight. He'll take some catching. Rip Taylor, eager. This is now Colin Matthias, and the ball's gone down in that ruck, and Canterbury will get up in possession. Can't fritter the ball away like that. Billy Johnstone, the dive pass. Now wide it goes to Matt Callinan, but taken by the Newcastle defence. Whittaker in there strongly with the big fella Milton Burrows. Swung it away. This is Paul Dunn looking for the handoff. Got it to the man that was marked Stephen Folkes, and he's gone down immediately where he stood. In possession, back to Billy Johnstone. Turn away to Mick Hagan. Now to Langmack, and that was a good tackle, Rip Taylor. Went right in low. Sporting these blokes a stone or two. There's no point in going in shoulder to shoulder as Lamb turns it away once more to Hagan. Way it goes to Andrew Farrar. Cut out Chris Mortimer. Way to Mick Potter, incisive in the back line, but the handling's not been good. And the scrum will form on the far side.
You got bad breath. You got bad breath.
Wants it again. Newcastle's ball. Turn away to Uyghur. Back to Rod White, who had a bit of trouble holding that ball and almost made a break, to be claimed though by the vigorous tackle of Mortimer, who always has the tendency, I feel, to want to go on with people. Down he goes again by, geez, a good centre though, the same fella. Rod White will get up. Play it back to Randall now. Paul Merlo. He and Burrows will need to keep these forwards right on their job this afternoon. Although the only inexperienced forward really is Warren Black, the number 9. This is Matthias, who's played in a grand final or two, won one with Northern Suburbs in 1979. So he's got plenty of football behind him. Higgins tried the chip through. As you can see, it came off a Canterbury player. That's how quick they are. Lamb turns it up now to Langmack. Langmack will take some catching. That's a great tackle. Turned away to Matt Callinan. Callinan goes to the corner. Make the break, the top Sydney sides, and that's all that was required. They've got the ability to the long pass, the ability to stand in that tackle just that half second longer. And here it comes again in replay, and you'll see them come out of the woodwork once the break is made. Now this is Higgins trying his best to chip it over the top. It came off a Canterbury player. Was that Canterbury player onside, do you think? Make your own mind up. The referee's ruled it's touched the Newcastle player in line of flight, I would imagine. That's Lamb. Lamb away there now to Langmack. Good player. Look at him stride to the tackle was made, but the pass was delivered to precision to Callinan. Callinan steps it out like a winger should, right in the corner. And Langmack had a lot to do with that, being able to ride the tackle and turn the ball. And Callinan, the number 5, snatched from the jaws of Lakes United last year. Terry Lamb, former Canterbury junior. Didn't want him. He went to Western Suburbs and they forked out plenty to get him back. Good player. Kicks it across the breeze. Well struck, but waved away to the right-hand side. Canterbury 4, Newcastle yet to score. Greg Uyghur strikes it right deep down towards Canterbury's goal line. Potter fields, turned away to P.Mortimer. Probably, John, the least fashionable of the Mortimers, but by geez, a good footballer, this bloke.
He's a good footballer, no doubt about him, Lee, as all the brothers.
Getting to his feet now, Farrar. His brother John plays here with Western Suburbs in Newcastle. This is the big fella Tunks captaining the side, as I said earlier on, Billy Johnson. Look at him queue up for the ball. Boiling now, and Newcastle will need to come in twos maybe if they've got to get him on the ground. The ball's free. It is Canterbury's ball to claim. And Billy Johnston once more will play it. Second row forward, Steve Folkes. Not much of him. There's not a better player in Sydney, though, I wouldn't think, as it goes back to Mortimer. From the effort point of view, Folkes is exceptional. For a man his size, this is Lamb. But the Newcastle defence is pretty solid. 2 metres from the halfway line. Mick Hagan gets to his feet to play it back to Billy Johnston. What can he do with it? Decided to play, take a bit of time with the Newcastle player laying at his feet, giving him that advantage, really. Farrar. Who wants it? Mark Bates decides to take it the wing 3/4. Lost his footing on the daisy on the lush turf and fell at the feet there of Peter Tunks. They've got to use the kick, John. They're just wasting tackles up here trying to bust this Canterbury defence.
There's no doubt about it, Lee. They won't break this defence. It's going to be through some unorthodox type of football to get through this Canterbury defence, and the kick is the thing. And you don't wait until it's 6 tackle, because they'll have men back there covering it.
There's Egar. Struck the ball high in the hair. Potter will eat it, and does just position himself beautifully. Will he get round Bates? Not quite. P.Mortimer will, though, but coming across the park. A front row forward, would you believe? And there should have been other players there more quickly than that in such a kick down the park situation as Potter. 8 metres from the halfway line's put out by Glenn Randall. Plays it back to Paul Dunn. The high ball away to Farrar now. Turning it away to Hagan. Into the back line it goes through Lamb. This is Chris Mortimer. On the fly, tries the big palm off. The ball delivered to Matthew Callinan, and he's taken in a touch on the far side. Scrum will fall. Canterbury's ball, really deciding they perhaps were going to lose that possession. The back line was flat, but look what they've made out of it as Potter's bowled it. Who's he got with him? Terry Lamb across the park. There's that man Langmack again. Ran into the referee, did he? Or the ball went to ground and flew back into his hands. I was a little unsighted as they queued up the Bulldogs to get into that move.
I reckon it would have been.
We'll catch that little bit once more, and you'll see that the Canterbury players starting to come out of the woodwork. Once the break's made, these Sydney sides know it's on, and they must take advantage of any break that is made. Lamb. It hit the referee Gustard to Langmack. I thought it had, didn't contact the ground. That's why the scrum went down. Now we're into the live action as we see Farrar go down from the scrum win. Under 3 Newcastle tackles. Billy Johnston decides to run himself after the decoy. Dunn had made the move forward, and Johnston's pulled down only about 8 metres out. Paul Dunn with the ball, now Peter Tunks, keeping it alive in size only, these big fellas. See this staying in tackles. Newcastle in the forwards are outweighed 2 stone a man. Basically, they've got to get in threes. It's harder, but it must be done if they're going to contain this Canterbury side. Billy Johnson away to Terry Lamb, says have a little grubber through along the ground. Hagan was awake to it but not got there. Did he quick enough? Ooh, gee. More good luck than good management, and the game will start beneath the goalposts.
I'm going on, mate.
Warren Ryan on shot, the coach of the Canterbury side, a former Nova Castrian. Behind him, Stevie Wonder, Stevie Mortimer. Boy, oh boy, what a footballer, what a pairing. Rod White. And the papers would have us believe they were blueing last year and they won it. Mick Potter. Way it goes to Chris Mortimer. Have a look at this fella go. Kicked it down the park, and here comes the defence. Just in time as the attacking player Lamb, who'd chase you down to the gully line if you had the ball, was always chasing it. Newcastle under pressure, John, and have got away with it a couple of times by the skin of their teeth.
Yes, Lee, a lot of variation in this Canterbury's play. Notice a little grubber kick through, and with fast men on the wing like Callinan, they can afford to do it.
And with the bomb rule the way it is, we'll see a lot of that this year. Potter stuck out the hand that's heavily bandaged. Good player, Mick Potter, round that one. Oh, lost the ball. I've mocked at him as well. Diving on the ball as the Newcastle player to get up in possession. Greg Eagle. Play it back to Paul Merlo, but where are the forwards running on? Now it's Warren Black. Good low tackle by Folks who came across the park. Randall. Higgins took the bump there as coming through Billy Johnstone. Referee Gustard said, we'll have you on time or not at all as he jogged back. That's good refereeing. Didn't stop the game. Merlo now. Billy Johnstone and Peter Tunks. And of course, Canterbury missing the player that played here in Newcastle a number of years, Peter Kelly, who is, I think, their gun forward. I think Warren Ryan probably agrees with me. In the big matches, Kelly's the man. They're in possession, though, and they've got plenty of good players, John.
Cole Mathias off 2, Lee, for Newcastle, and Tony Keevil in number 16.
Tony Keevil with a bit more size about him. That's no doubt the idea of coach Johnny King, because of the big fella standing in the ruck. P.Mortimer will play it to Billy Johnstone. Hagan away now to David Gillespie. Good tackle. Trying to get the ball away. Hagan was put on the ground quickly. Had a bit of a word to Rip Taylor. Won't worry Rip Taylor one little bit. He's been around a long, long while. This is Farrar. Picked it back there to Chris Mortimer. Callinan, what can I do with it? Turn it up now to Hagan. Cut out a couple of men. Got it away to Dunn. Keeping it alive. Comes to Mortimer very awkwardly. And Mark Bates able to take the man as he went for the ball. But you notice Mortimer went for the ball. That's what he needed to do. Taylor's got blood spurting out of him, the Newcastle lock forward. This was Ricky Stone, and that was a good ball to Rod White in very awkward circumstances. But by gee, had two of them onto him very, very quickly, and Newcastle need to gather in some sort of attacking format. They're walking around like they're waiting on a bus at the moment. Keevil, bad ball, tried to get it away too late. The soccer stopped to Mortimer. Way to Billy Johnson, away to Peter Tunks. Stays up in size again. You can say, oh, that man's a mile offside. Good heaven's sake. This is not gridiron. Steve Folks knew he was offside. How to catch it, though. There's Peter Kelly in the crowd. Good bloke, good footballer, and tough as teak. This will give him a lot of heart, Newcastle. Randall really should have kicked the first one. That's history. Let's hope he's forgotten that. He's in front now, but across a good, strong southerly. Moves in, hits it. That one raises the flags, and Newcastle are on the board. The Bulldogs 4, Newcastle 2.
Newcastle's first points, penalty goal, kicked by number 12, Glenn Randall. For those pleaded with doubles, number 12 for Newcastle, number 5 for the opposition. Doubles, number 12 for Newcastle, number 5 for the opposition. Play out on that double will be at the rear of the grandstand at half time. And that's the 5 sectors, number 5 the first leg, number 2 the second leg.
Kick-off by Canterbury, taken by Newcastle. Good strong run, Craig Hubbard. Very good stepper. Fell to the tackle of Chris Mortimer. Rod Whittaker out of a tackle, almost out of the second one too. Let's get him in the daylight and see him go, the big fella. Tony Keevil. Played country firsts, played with the Balmain side. Came from Armidale originally, I think, back to Milton Burrows. He comes from Maitland. A pumpkin picker to the core. Could have got a quid anywhere, stayed with Maitland, and they've had a couple of lean seasons. This is Egar. After one that...
That's a good kick from Egar.
That is a top kick.
It didn't find touch, but it's the type of kick that he should be putting up. One that's going to bounce awkwardly.
Mick Potter followed it through and, as you can see, kept his cool, waited on the ball coming to him rather than snatching at it. But Callinan's the man with the ball on the quarterway line. The tackle, Paul Merlo. Swung away from Potter to Hagan, struggling through the gap there. I can't catch him at the moment, but he didn't go too far. In fact, it's Folkes, the number 9. Now it's back to Tunks. Too big for the little fellas to go high on, and Higgins wasted an effort going towards him there without going low. Back to Billy Johnstone. Paul Dunn now. How would East let this fella go? Although he's not shone so far in this match, he is a player of the future. Billy Johnstone once more. Boxer, footballer. Pretty good at both. Randall, the Newcastle hooker, is well up to the standard too. Kicked through there now by P.Mortimer. No, it was Farrar, of course, the kicker of the ball, taken by Rod White on his own quarterway line. He's claimed, though. And Newcastle can only settle things down now. Whittaker's doing just that, but they've got to get back in a pattern quickly, or more quickly than that. That strolling back caper's not on. Higgins. Nowhere to go at all. Johnstone straight to him. The other big man, Paul Dunn, through there quickly. This is Randall. Milton Burrows feeling the tackles, no doubt. Tony Keevil round the corner. Merlo needs a fast man. Where's Ricky Stone or one of these young fellas? Over the top to Mark Bates. Away to Rip Taylor. Back into Bates. That's more like a Newcastle with the ball, but it's come all free and loose. And Canterbury have come up in possession. Referee Gustard said the Canterbury player, no Newcastle player, was offside, and Canterbury get the penalty. Let's have a look at all that again. It was a bit of a scramble here. This is Merlo, fair linking, waiting for the man with fleet foot. And over the top, basketball style, the only bloke within Cooey, Bates. Then Rip Taylor was never going to have the pace. Got it back into Bates. That's when the ball went free and loose. And of course, Rip Taylor dived in there and, to me, didn't contact the ball. But anyway, Canterbury have possession as we go back live. Billy Johnstone turns it away to Lamb. Bumping run there from David Gillespie is halted only by the 5'8" Egar. Billy Johnstone once more. Way to Terry Lamb.
Certainly a try on there, Lee, wasn't there, with Merlo?
There certainly was. It was all stopped. Anyway, that's the way it goes. This is Potter. Newcastle may not get too many opportunities. Lamb, though, look at him. Keep it alive, the Canterbury players. Terry Lamb to his feet now. Plays it back to Paul Langmack. Through the arms of Billy Johnstone to Paul Dunn. But the tackle of Glenn Randall underneath and over the top. Big fella Milton Burrows. Stephen Folkes. Away to Mick Hagan. Cut out a man. Gave it away to Andrew Farrar. Never really gathered the ball. Was always going to drop it when the defence got to him quickly, and it was Bates that saw the ball on the ground. Craig Higgins to feed Canterbury's ball, and Terry Lamb away from the scrum base. But Taylor blocked off the gap as he was trying to straighten up on the other side of the pack. As it's turned away from Langmack to Mick Hagan again. Found the man too far away, so held possession and took the tackle of Keevil. That is Farrar. This is the big man, Peter Tunks. Taking a mile of pulling down to Kangaroo Year. These big fellas on the short list, and I mean a short list of 50 or so, will all be having a good season this year, don't worry. This is Stephen Folkes, this is Peter Tunks. He's got to be in that bracket. And a metre or two out from the line, he's held up by the Newcastle defence. A wall of it there. Terry Lamb, little one over the top that was really never going to be on. Penalty to Canterbury. Newcastle offside was the ruling. The game had started. Lamb had run a step or two before he kicked it. Gee, that's tough. This is Andrew Farrar, and we're right behind him. He couldn't miss this, surely. Just got it inside the left-hand upright, though. But they all count in Canterbury 6, lead Newcastle 2.
Andrew Farrar, Canterbury-Bankstown 6 for Newcastle 2. So those people with trifectas, the payout on the trifecta is 5, 12 and 2.
Kick-off by the Newcastle side, deep down the park, and we've got a couple of replacements on the field. Milton Burrows and Warren Black are on, replaced by the number 15, Mark Brokenshire, about to dive or attempt to on that loose ball, and the number 17, Terry Stevenson. Referee Gustard will hold things up. Penalty to Newcastle. Man hurt. Callinan, the man on the ground, regains his feet, and Glenn Randall at least is going to have a shot for goal. I'll do all that again for you, Red, so you don't have to worry. Now this is how the injury happened here. You'll see the man bringing the ball up there is P.Mortimer. Bump, bump, the ball's gone free. Callinan goes in there and a big hard bump with Brokenshire. Big fella fresh on the park. From the ensuing penalty that was thrown because of that confusion. In fact, Callinan was offside when he tried to dive on that ball. Randall comes in, bang, the flag's in the air, and Newcastle trail by 2. Canterbury-Bankstown 6, Newcastle 4.
Penalty goal for Newcastle, kicked by Glenn Randall. Canterbury 6, Newcastle 4.
Andrew Farrar moves in. Just minutes to go before half-time now. And that's a pretty good scoreline, although Newcastle running with the breeze. This is Hubbard. From the Newcastle point of view I'm talking about, I would personally have rather have seen them run into the breeze in the first half, because in the second half the test will be stamina. This is Rip Taylor. Plenty of confusion in there. And Taylor easy meat for the tackle there of David Gillespie. Randall, way to Higgins, way now to Merlo. Bumped away from the would-be tackler Langmack, but didn't make any territory, and we'll play it back to Randall once more. Surely they'll put the boot to it, but Egar no time. Stevenson does. Plonks it down the middle of the park, straight down Potter's throat once more. And Mick Potter will take those for as long as you like to kick them to him. He must be made run either way to at least force him into some sort of an error chance. This is Farrar halfway. Ricky Stone, the tackler, the number 3. The rookie of the side with Glenn Randall, who's played for country firsts. Callinan from the wing, still in the action, John. He's had a couple of bumps, but certainly come of age with the Canterbury side last year. Up to play it now, Billy Johnstone, Terry Lamb. Way it goes to Mick Hagan, looking for the room. Won't find it, and goes down to the tackle of Glenn Randall. Stephen Folkes, the high one, lay on the breeze all day. Rod White's in a bit of bother. Plenty of players around that. Who's got what? That's a penalty to Canterbury as Keeville's offside.
Yeah, mate. No.
Farrar into touch, and the restart will be taken by Billy Johnstone.
Surprising Farrar not taking that kick at goal there, Lou.
It is amazing. It is a big breeze, but he was well within his range. Terry Lamb, way to Mick Hagan. Now to the number 4, Chris Mortimer. Runs with great vigour, doesn't he? But he was taken down by the 2 tacklers there of Newcastle. He'll play it back to Johnstone once more. Given away to David Gillespie. The handoff there to Mick Potter. Callinan almost could have been accused of a shepherd there, but the tackle was formed or performed, so referee Gustard allowed it to go on. This is Stephen Folkes. Claimed and pulled away from it. Good heavens sake, that's awful. Stephen Folkes was held by a couple of Newcastle players. They let him go, heaven's sakes. Let's see that again. That is not on. There's the ball now, turned away by Mick Hagan. Folkes, look at him claimed there. 1, 2 of him got hold of him. Then they let him go, and Folkes can't believe it. The unemotional Mr. Ryan. Terry Lamb across the breeze, of course, and if anything, the breeze is getting slightly stronger. He struck the last one beautifully, not quite so well. He won't quite get the distance. May have just got that, but it went away to the left-hand side. Canterbury 10, Newcastle 4. Greg Egar once more, the same ploy, deep into Canterbury's territory. With possession, P.Mortimer. The simple take by the fullback hand to the winger is running round, just to get the game underway. In there quickly, Stevenson, the 17, and 15, Brokenshire, the 2 fresh players on the park. This is Langmack. Taken down by Keeble and Stevenson. Mortimer, Andrew Farrar, held in the tackle. Taylor in there solidly.
Difference with the defence, Lee. Canterbury, when defending, move up into the Newcastle players, with Newcastle standing back waiting for them to get mobile, and just can't do it with these big fellows in particular.
Number 23 on the park. I don't know who he is for Canterbury. We'll find that out in just a moment as Mortimer drives it up the field. Kicked away to Rod White. Rod White to the halfway line, but he won't go a step further than that.
Peter Hawthorne, Lee. Peter
Hawthorne was the country player signed by Canterbury halfway through last season, just before the cut-off date. This is Keeble. Randall calls one way, goes the other. That's as old as Methuselah. Half-time goes. Canterbury 10, Newcastle 4, and the Bulldogs have the breeze in the second half. Game underway, and Andrew Farrar kicks off deep down towards Newcastle's line. Taken by Craig Hubbard. Running into the breeze, the local boys, and that's going to be a very big task in the second half. This is now Rod Whittaker's not seen the light of day, really. He's got the ball a couple of times in very tough situations, confined areas. This is Keeble, struggling to try and get a ball away to a man in the clear. Randall now. No chance to go through there as Canterbury. This is Craig Higgins. Brokenshire got one fairly high up too. But he'll get up to play the ball okay as it's played back to Randall now. By Greg Egar, the kick. Propped in the air a little bit, but coming back Matt Callinan. Goes across the park, taken down by his former captain coach Rip Taylor in no uncertain means. And also by Hubbard, a former teammate. This is Mick Hagan. Nearly to the halfway line. He'll play it back to Billy Johnstone. Boiling onto the ball, P.Mortimer. Doesn't like being tackled, Mortimer. Gets up to play the ball. Billy Johnstone turns it away there to the number 10, David Gillespie. Thought twice about delivering it off the ground. Billy Johnstone, Mick Potter. Up in the game, Potter. Looking for room, but the tackle was good and saw him down. Hubbard was the man that got in close and did just that, as the high kick by Andrew Farrar has put Rod White in more strife than Speed Gordon, but he handled it well as he got it away to Rod Whittaker. What can Whittaker do with P.Mortimer? Very little. Mortimer put him down on the quarterway line. Egar, the player, trying to make ground, but no room through there as the Canterbury defence very quickly to the mark. Craig Higgins, away now to Rip Taylor. Pirouettes, coming back, but was always going to fall to the tackle of Billy Johnstone. And in there too, Peter Hawthorne. Big lump of a lad, the number 23. Merlo, pinned to the ground by the weight of Tunks and also Gillespie. This is Keevil. Knows how to go through busting tackles, but they just keep queuing up to the blue and whites at least. Terry Stevenson, pointlessly, kicked it up in the air. Callinan got it. Was taken down by the tackle there of Greg Egar. No rhyme nor reason to that one, was far too high. Potters will live in the game with the wind behind his tail. This is Gillespie. Mick Potter will stay right up in the game now. The wind forcing the ball to drop short on every occasion, allow him to do that. This Hagan cut out a man away to Peter Hawthorne for a forward, was very, very wide. Paul Langmack's not done a lot today as it's turned away to Hagan. Stays on his feet, who wants it? Stephen Folkes decides to go charging down the middle. Hubbard's tackled strongly in the early moments of the second half as Lamb gave it away to Hagan. Off the shoulder, though, of Taylor, into the arms fortuitously of Rod Whittaker. But he failed to do anything but go across the park. Who wants that? That's awful. And that's a knock on. Whew. Under 14s, that. Same tunnel. Terry Lamb feeds, knocks it behind him, picks it up, gave it away to Paul Langmack. Called Hagan inside, but that was a good tackle by Rip Taylor, put him straight onto the ground. Now Mick Hagan away to Terry Lamb once more as they change the point of attack. Here's Farrar, like a runaway train from Cowra. Whoosh, into touch though. Corner posts and all failed to get the ball down was the ruling of the touch judge on this side. And the game will restart in the quarterway line. Let's have a look at all this again as he goes down the touchline. There's Farrar, the boy from Cowra. Straightened up, gone straight towards the corner. Took the bump. Frankly, I couldn't see much on that at my look at that one. So we'll go with the touch judge, I guess. He's got to get the benefit of the doubt. Well out, I'm told. I couldn't get a good look at that one. This is Keevil. But he's not going to go through too far. The tackler there was Farrar. Way it goes to Rip Taylor. Higgins, no way through there. There's just too many players in that straight line, always moving up. Egar, Mark Brokenshire. Only across the park, last tackle. Ricky Stone turns it away to Craig Higgins. Up in the air it goes. Slid off the breeze and goes into touch. Turned out to be all right for Newcastle. That's called a scrum, would you believe? That's a tunnel. Feet out. Had to be. Both of them had. Greg Egar, nothing to shoot at and does pretty well to take the game down the park 20 metres. And we'll find the restart taken by the big fella from the Goannas, Rod Whittaker. Turn it away now to Rip Taylor.
Not too many penalties, Lee, in the match so far. 4-3 in favour of Canterbury.
Taylor shaking his head, something didn't come off there. This is Keevil getting into the game, as he's been in since he came on the park. Boyling trying to bust his way through those big forwards, but he's lost possession of the ball forward and there'll be a scrum.
Come on, Newcastle.
Good heavens. Play on. Mick Potter. The in pass to Hagan. Stays on his feet. Got it back to Mick Potter. Straightens the game. Searches looking for a gap in that Newcastle defence. Was never going to sell the dump to the winger. Now to Hagan once more. Here they come, the Bulldogs. Langmack. Turned away to Billy Johnson. Now Mick Hagan. Straightens up in the daylight. Look at Farrar loom on the outside, but he goes over the top to P.Mortimer. And Mortimer very close to the corner as he rolled in and scored the try. Yes! P.Mortimer realising he was going to be short of the line there. It was a good attempted stop by the Newcastle defender.
Bates it was, Lee. A very good tackle from Bates.
No, it's Whittaker on the far side that came right from this side of the park. And he spun round Mortimer. We'll see that one again as they go down towards the corner. This is Langmack. That's Billy Johnstone. That's where Hagan made the break now. You'll see Mick Hagan go down towards the corner. There's that man Farrar on the outside, but the over-the-top pass away to P.Mortimer. Now that's Bates just there, the number 5. See you later. And in the number 2 as well. So we were both right, John. Both of them involved there. Whittaker the last man to arrive and Bates the first. But he's got the points. Andrew Farrar with a breeze at his back, but slightly across the kick. Has directed it how well, kicked it too far to the left and it's waved away. The Bulldogs lead by 10, 14 points to 4 over Newcastle.
Andrew Farrar is unsuccessful. Canterbury-Bankstown 14, lead Newcastle 4.
Hagan the kickoff. Won't get the range this time and fell into the arms there simply of Potter. Now this is P.Mortimer. Bit of a hard bump there, but up quickly trying to play the ball if Randall will only let him. This is Potter again. So I said you'll see a lot more of him in the game now. He's able to stay right behind his pack and join in the attack as well as be the last line of defence. Peter Tunks. Billy Johnstone. Gillespie, is it? On the far side, working his way through, was David Gillespie. As it's back now to Farrar. This kick will go a mile. Right down the park. Rod White did brilliantly. Gave it away there to Rod Whittaker now. What can he do with it, the big Cessnock winger? Goes to the quarterway line to be taken down there by Mortimer. Quickly played through the hands of Rod White to Craig Higgins. Brushed away from one tackle but ran into the troubles of Hagan and Johnstone. Went backwards from whence he came. Paul Merlo will boil away in the middle of the park, but a win's the only thing to look for, and that's not going to win. I'm not blaming Merlo. I'm saying they've got to try something a little bit different. As Ricky Stone tried to duck under the tackle, but he was knocked over by Hawthorne. Rip Taylor. They don't come any more courageous and tough than Taylor. That may not be enough this afternoon. This is Merlo, shaping, throwing the ball, did quite well, needs some support.
Nobody following him through there at all, Lee.
Well, he looked 3 ways, didn't he, John? That way, this way and back again, and there was no one at home coming with any pace. Hagan with the kick. Matt Callinan socketed it to a standstill, was never going to get away from Whittaker, but picked up the ball cleanly. That's all he had on offer. This is Mick Potter. Claimed by Ricky Stone. We're not seeing the young fella. He's not had any opportunities this afternoon. This is Peter Hawthorne. That wasn't played correctly, but the game goes on as it goes to Hagan. Away to Mortimer. This Langmack playing the ball to Mortimer once more. Peter Tunks, the big fella. Hop, step and a jump from P.Mortimer, but if he pulled down about 8 metres short of the halfway line, he'll play it back to Billy Johnstone.
Well, Rip Taylor's in that Newcastle side, Lee, with that defence. Oh, gee, it's unbelievable.
He's a long way in front of the others in tackle numbers, or completed tackles, let's put it that way. There's a cuff across the ears from Stephen Folkes and sees Higgins on the ground. Hubbard, Paul Merlo, looks for the man, found the big fella Stevenson, but he was quickly wrapped up by the Canterbury side. Low went David Gillespie. Now's the ball, Keevil. Bang. Went hard onto the ball. Was taken on a beautiful low tackle by Peter Hawthorne. Higgins. Rip Taylor. Into the back line it goes. To the wing 3/4 Mark Bates. Can he get round P.Mortimer? No. And Mortimer sees him on the ground. Nearing touch on the far side. Midway in the Canterbury half. As it's with Robert Taylor now. Craig Hubbard. That's good work. Unfortunately, almost through the gap. He lost his footing, as you could see. It could have been interesting there. And Newcastle only 10 points behind. A converted try to really give them some heart. That is feeding him up and down like the David Jones lift. And Newcastle were lucky to get that back, or have they? Still loose. Mark Bates, who wants it now? Egar, nowhere to room, and Bates should have really bolted for the corner, although he was flat-footed. And Newcastle getting a bit of possession, a little bit of fortune of the game. Merlo tries to straighten it up now. A struggling 4 or 5 steps in range of the Canterbury line.
He's making the break lead, Merlo, but there's nobody there supporting him at all.
This is Robert Taylor. O'Keefe, no, it's Brockenshire's gone without it. Newcastle throw it away once more. In possession, in position, and threw the ball away with obviously not claiming the ball before putting on the gas. This is Callinan. Big tackle there, and a good tackle from Stevenson. Put him straight onto the ground. This man's Gillespie. That man's Potter. Ricky Stone quickly through to Potter, saw him down. Langmack, away to Lamb. Little chinking one over the top, realising there's not too much at home there. Gee whiz, Bates was left posted. Higgins stood and watched all that, and that's shocking. And this is Hagan, and that's a live ball to Billy Johnson, the hooker, running like hit it star, the 2-year-old filly. Heaven's sake, Newcastle, let that start up here. That was a super tackle from behind by Ricky Stone to pull up that man, Mortimer. Gee whiz, it's on here now. Little one over the top to no avail, and the fight is on. Well, it was predicted right through the week with all that paper talk, and blow me down, it got to be silly right there. Let's have a look at all that again. Now look at Craig Higgins. Fairtingham stood round like a bus stop. Got to get in there, surely. It didn't, and the game had gone. The long run down the park. Hagan, the ball away now. This is Billy Johnson, the hooker, would you believe? Looks like he's on roller skates. The in ball to Lamb. Now Mortimer. And down he goes, and Fairtingham, that man there, number 2, Rod Whittaker, arrived like the cavalry to stop that. The silly stuff started, the penalty went to Canterbury, and Farrar's just kicked it into touch. And the Bulldogs will probably do something down here in range now with this wind and the confidence in their tails. This is P.Mortimer, through one. Up quickly to play it, Billy Johnstone. David Gillespie, hard into the tackle, but the tackles were good of Newcastle. There's been no lack of determination, John, just disorganisation and a little lack of application, really, I think, at times.
Well, Lee,
look at that in ball to Farrar.
Their biggest mistake is they're throwing the ball back to Canterbury when they're in possession, Newcastle, and you just can't afford to do that.
This is Whittaker. We'll get up to play the ball. Hubbard into the big man Keevil, but even his poundage does well. Now Paul Merlo. Some clown threw Keevil's boot over the sideline, and frankly, that's stupid. If the referee saw that, he should send the bloke after it for 10 minutes. This is Stevenson. A couple of girls playing hopscotch. That's stupid stuff. This is Higgins. Wouldn't want to do that in a grand final at the cricket ground and lose a grand final because of it, John, I wouldn't think. This is Ricky Stone. Robert Taylor's been, he's been full of effort all day.
Yes, no doubt about that, Lee. He's certainly been firing. His defence has been outstanding, and he's been the only Newcastle player that looked like making a break other than Merlo. Merlo's making the initial break, but no one helping him.
See, there's a bad ball. Keevil did well, and he struggled through those tackles since he came on the park, but the in ball to anyone who wants it's not good enough. Not against this company. This is Callinan across the field. Then he straightened it up. Taylor pulls him down vigorously with Ricky Stone underneath. Taylor wants to go on and tackle him twice and was lucky to get away with all that. This is Potter.
must also be somewhere in Kangaroo calculations. Midfield, although there's fullbacks for burn down there. He's a good one. This is Terry Lamb. He is in calculations. Potter once more. Terry Lamb always with the ball. Peter Tunks running like a gazelle. Got it away to Paul Langmack. The in ball there. Tackles the man over the line. A new man on the field. Looks like Elias, is it? Waitley turns round. The number David Hill, I think it's 22 for Canterbury is the try scorer. John Elias it is, the player that was in Sydney, went to Brisbane and is back with the Bulldogs. Let's look at it again. Elias really snuck on John. We didn't see him come, but it doesn't matter. He's got the points from the board. That's Lamb. This is Tunks, and the big fellow allowed plenty of room to move. That's Langmack. Turned into John Elias. Was always going to score, despite the fact that he was chased across there by Stone. And Canterbury skip away. 8-4. Andrew Farrar to put them into the 20s and does. Canterbury 20, Newcastle 4, and Canterbury with the breeze. Depends at how far now. Newcastle coach there, Johnny King, plenty on his mind at the moment. Paul Langmack. Not stood out this afternoon. Watch him go out through the season, Langmack. I think he was a schoolboy. He said he was a schoolboy footballer. He may have even been the captain a few years ago. He's just, I think, 19 now. If that, what a player. Penalty to Newcastle. Billy Johnstone talking to the referee while in possession of the ball. Unkindly, no doubt. Egar only able to get the square ball into touch. Oh gee. He knocked that man, but it went backwards and he's able to hold possession.
Mark Bates is off lead for Newcastle, and that would be David Hill on.
This is Craig Higgins. Hill, the blonde, wearing number 14 on the far side. Plays with Macquarie United. Up it goes to Robert Taylor now. He'll stay on the job, Rip, if they stay till 7 o'clock tonight. There's no doubt about that. And there's no doubt about any of them trying very hard. They're just outgunned at the moment. Rod to White. Now to the big fella. Burrows back on the park and spills the first touch he has.
That's been their problem, Lee. Giving possession back to Canterbury, but there's solid tackles coming in, and they're jarring the ball out of the Newcastle players' arms. Billy Johnson. This is John Elias now. 3 Newcastle tacklers. There's no lack of numbers, of course. Just not getting them quickly enough on occasions. Mick Potter spilled the ball. And Egar has it now, and Newcastle can get on the board, can they? Quickly closed up the breach there, though, wasn't it? This is Milton Burrows. Just struggled it out the back to Egar. Now away to Rod Whittaker. Running straight back into the Canterbury defence instead of throwing it wide.
Well, the trouble is they're all on across the park, and they're all so strong and quickly to ya. That was a bad ball away from Rod White to Higgins, who almost found a chink in the Bulldogs' armour. The ball's gone free and loose, and who are we going to get up in possession? Newcastle still with the ball. The dive pass away to Egar, now to Craig Hubbard. Way it goes to Ricky Stone. Let's see what the youngster can do. A good ball away there to David Hill. Hill's going towards the corner, but pulled down just a metre or so short. We'll play it quickly now. Can Newcastle make something of this? As it swung away to Glenn Randall. Fortuitously, the ball really fell under the foot of the Newcastle oncoming player after it had been dropped, and they almost got it back today.
I think they have, Lee. This is where they want to quick play the ball, Newcastle.
Gustard's going to put a scrum down.
I think he thought Newcastle had it. He indicated to play on, but Canterbury come up with it.
coming off the field. Terry Lamb limping a bit too with David Gillespie. The replacements we'll tell you about in a minute as Canterbury struggle to maintain possession, and it'll go back to the scrum. The number 24 is Mark Sargent, former Central Newcastle player. Just another one down the road. Can't blame the kids. Jason Alchin is the other one on the field of play, and another local boy from here in Newcastle. That's Mick Potter. This is Andrew Farrar. I guess the Warren Ryan would be more concerned about Lamb limping than anything else in all that. He's had troubles all last year. As Canterbury turn on the pressure, Big Peter Tunks in the sleeveless Guernsey has been running rampant all day. It takes 3 of them to put him over, as you can see. He's 30 metres out, dead set centre field.
Only take one left, they got down around his ankles.
Billy Johnstone turned away there to Mick Hagan. Now to the number 20, Alchin. Playing half-back, of course, in the absence of Lamb and Mortimer, who never started the game. Langmack. Round the corner it goes. Mark Sargent taken down. Good low tackle on that occasion by the number 17, Terry Stevens. Farrar, another kick down the field, just put his foot on. Look how far it's gone. Rod White had no chance of getting that. It was always going to bounce awkwardly to him. That was the idea of it all. Custard said Rod White hit the ball. I would think he was yards away. Drop out by the Newcastle side. This is the number 22, John Elias, the try scorer. Looking for room, found none there as the Newcastle defence in the shape of Milton Burrows sorting down. Billy Johnstone turns away now to Alchin. The long pass to Hagan, away to Farrar. Snatched it out of the air, through the dummy, realising Callinan was covered. Got it away to Mick Potter, and the penalty goes to Newcastle. Threw the ball forward, and there's a man on the ground here, Craig Higgins. Took a bump for Newcastle, so too did Taylor. He's up and going. As the kick is taken and into touch on this, the grandstand, flanked by Greg Egar. Glenn Randall, up to Big Milton, here he comes. But easy meat for Billy Johnstone, who did what John was talking about, went low on the big man, and he found no pace forward. There's the ball on the ground. Langmack flicked it up to Hagan in one movement, giving it away now to Farrar. Farrar still going round the corner, it goes this time to Alchin, and Alchin scores. And that's a lesson in keeping the ball alive. Canterbury are just keeping it alive with good passes. How about Langmack off the ground to the man in the clear in one movement?
Up another Newcastle mistake, Lou.
It was two, turned away there to Randall. Away there to Higgins. That's the ball on the ground. Look at Langmack, pick that up straight in the arms of Hagan in one movement. That's what it's all about. This is Farrar. Inside, Alchin scoring against the hometown boys. Would love it. Over the line he goes. Farrar in front could back all this over. Nearly made a liar out of him. It hit the post, but it went over, and Canterbury lead 26 points to 4. Greg Egar, short kick this time. Taken by Tunks, stayed on his feet, delivered it nicely to Mark Sargent. The tackles were strong. Hill was the 14 in there quickly. Billy Johnstone, Jason Alchin has big shoes to fill when Steve Mortimer retires from the game, John.
Yes, yeah, there's no doubt about that, but he has the ability, the young fellow, and it's only a matter of getting the breaks and he'll be there.
Mick Hagan, another fellow that's been well on the brink of being a regular member, was for most of the team in the team last year because of Terry Lamb's injury. This is P.Mortimer. As I say, keeping the ball alive is the name of the game. Farrar came back, flicked it up to a teammate, and that's what it's all about. Making no progress, always had the man available though, and that was Billy Johnstone. But the touch judge is on the park up here, a little short of play, and we'll find out what happens. David Hill being called out. He pulled a man out of the play by the back of the collar, according to that reenactment. And the penalty goes to Canterbury, and the game should have been allowed to flow. That's terrible. You don't stop the game, and the non-infringing side, the infringing side has the ball. Then though, Billy Johnson. This man's P.Mortimer. Billy Johnson once more. They're all the time in the world now. Canterbury, Hagan. Still alive to young Jason Alchin. Schoolboy champion. Son of Greg, nephew of Mick Alchin, fondly called Mad Mick in these parts. This is Tunks, has the size, has the support, and what's Mr. Gustard going to do? Allow them to play the ball, a metre or so short. Try that a millimetre short. Stephen Folkes, the man with the ball. Sargent, the stab through there by Langmack, the try by Hagan. That's the name of the game. Get around the back of the defence, keep the ball alive, and be fit enough to do all that for 80 minutes. In the attacking side of football, this is what he does. Grubbers it along the ground. Hagan, not a soul at home. Rod White coming across, never a chance. Hagan on the ball.
I've got one try.
There's the Bulldog. I've got one at home like that, but not as pretty as that one. This is Andrew Farrar. That was easy. Not a bad Bulldog either. 32 points to 4 on the Bulldogs, formerly the Berries. Skip away. I wonder if the change of name gave them more bite, John. I think that win called the Berries or called anything these days.
Yes, there's no doubt about that, Lee. They're certainly a well-organised unit, and this is where they have, of course, the advantage over Newcastle. As we mentioned before the game, they would be possibly the best club side playing rugby league in the world. And, well, Newcastle, as we said, they're only a team just been put together for the last 3 weeks and finding it a bit hard.
Go Eagar, that was a good run from he and Higgins combined. The former North pairing that are now with Western Suburbs goes forward about 8 metres out. Let's get a try on the board, Newcastle. Let's not be whitewashed. Over the top it goes into the hands of David Hill. Bit of a step at this bloke, moves back in away from touch, and that was at least the good thing to do. Merlo, turn away to Greg Eagar, waiting out of Craig Higgins, looking for some sort of room. The bad ball backwards really, and has been made a meal of by the Newcastle player. Whether he knocked it on is up to debate, I would think, but the game was stopped anyway.
When you think they're going to score?
Newcastle's ball, Higgins away from the base of the scrum. Alchin always had him covered. Merlo, Robert Taylor. Played the captain's game this afternoon, Rip Taylor, as we expected he would. This is Merlo. Has looked good, Paul Merlo, but has found that problem all afternoon when the men arrived there late and not on the boil. This is Rodney White. Robert Taylor. Knocked it back, rules referee Gustard. He'll get up to play the ball. To Merlo. Swung away to Craig Hubbard. Give an eye now to Ricky Stone. The in-pass away there to Big Milton Burrows, but the tacklers are there in numbers. Merlo now cut out a man. Got it away this time to Higgins. Higgins to Merlo once more. But he won't find any room through there as Mortimer's through there very quickly. Eagar. Little grubber through down towards the corner. It'll go into touch, will it? Certainly does. The flag goes in the air and the scrum will fall.
Anybody requiring cards to the top of the fair, hands are allowed to answer the game.
Newcastle with the ball, not going all that far. Going to the corner, big Rod Whittaker. Held up very, very close to the line by the big fella Tunks over the top and several other Canterbury players who want to keep Newcastle trialists, no doubt. Says Higgins, look at the wall of Canterbury players came round him like the Indians did General Custer. Round it goes this time to Uyghur. Fair dinkum and Newcastle at the same odds as Custer was too, have no doubt. Uyghur now, Paul Merlo. Gee, they've tried hard, our boys. The only difference is the class, of course. And that's not surprising. The Canterbury side's worth $1 million.
They just can't finish off movements, Lee. That's their problem.
Well, that's the difference. Uyghur kicked it through. Swooped on by Canterbury's Mick Potter. Moved out into the field of play by 8 metres before he fell to the tackle of Ricky Stone. Just a pity we've never seen more of some of these young talented backs this afternoon from Newcastle's point of view. The big fella Sargent has the bulk about him, John, and has certainly looked the part to step a rung or two at least up the ladder in Sydney football. Elias, Langmack kept it alive, back to Tunks. Tunks though was standing still, gave it away to Matthew Callinan. Says I won't go to touch, spilled the ball, that's not good. Picked up by Milton Burrows. Elias chases him across and tackles the pumpkin picker right in the middle of the park, 40 out, as he plays it back to Ricky Stone. Give it away to Stevenson. And the game's at least been kept at a fair pace right throughout the afternoon. We've not bogged down really for any length of time. Higgins, little grubber through into the daylight. What, you got to kick it. Oh, did fortuitously round on the other side of Potter. And it's a try, and Newcastle will not be clean sheeted. But boy, oh boy, that's an effort on their behalf. That's an effort on Newcastle's behalf. The other mob are worth $1 million, don't worry. Newcastle, by comparison, well below that. You don't get a Canterbury team just on local boys, don't worry. In fact, there's about 2 that can claim to have ever lived anywhere near the joint when they were kids. Look at that. Newcastle go over the line. Gee, that ball bounced well for Higgins.
Variation, Lee. That's what was needed. And a bit of luck.
There's Warren Ryan and Peter Moore. Friends again. Mr. Ryan doesn't smile a lot. He's entitled to. Across the face of goal, and 32-8 remains the score. I do get... At the completion of the game, the presentation of the Challenge Cup will be made in front of the grandstand by Mr. John Rankin, the chairman of the board of directors of the Newcastle Morning Herald. Farrar kicks off. It was Ricky Stone, the number 3 for Newcastle, that missed that attempted conversion to get the record right. This is Hubbard, his teammate from Lakes United. Although I am sick of reading in the paper about how Newcastle shouldn't go into Sydney football because this side wouldn't be good enough. They'd be lucky to be 2 in this side that would make first grade with the side that was going into Sydney. That's rubbish. This is David Hill.
Not a bad effort, Lee, from this Newcastle side this afternoon. As I said, there's a lot of young fellows in there, and they've only been put together in the last 3 weeks. This would be one of the best conditioned Newcastle sides I've seen so early in the season, and there's going to be a lot of sides beaten by Canterbury and Sydney by more than 32 points to 8.
There's no doubt about that, John. This is a result of a month's training. These other fellas in the blue and white have been going around for 3 months, and much more constantly, because they don't really have to work as hard, if you know what I mean. They do this for a living, most of them.
Well, they've got the combination too, Lee. Our fellows they've had a couple of games together, but combination's a big thing, and that's why they can keep the ball alive the way that it is.
So it goes to Jason Alchin, one of the up-and-comers with the Bulldogs, to another up-and-comer in Craig Sargent, the number 24. Joined the club just this year. Alchin, see second year. Hagan, oh look at that, who wants this dummy? Gave it away to Farrar, and Farrar, they're making it a joke now. As the condition starts to tell, they're on their toes. Newcastle are on their heels right now. Let's have a look at it again and see what Hagan just does. Simply sells the dummy to everyone around, gave it away to Farrar, and your grandma would have scored it.
What a good footballer, Farrar, Lee. I'd say a big chance to go to England.
Here's the cup, the Newcastle Herald Challenge Cup in its 4th season. It's never stayed in town. It's been won a couple of times by Parramatta and now a couple of times by Canterbury-Bankstown, the Sydney Premiers against the local boys. It's a task, but a great promotion. Farrar once more. The bedroom slipper kick of the match. I didn't put him off that time, and Canterbury go to the score of 38 points to Newcastle's 8. And that's full time, and Canterbury go away with the Herald Challenge Cup.